MSM and Cape Breton University, CBU, welcomes you to our MSM Agent eSummit 2020 Live. We're all going through the current situation of COVID-19 pandemic, and it has not been easy for all of us. However, we should not let it stop us from enhancing our knowledge, improving our minds, and sharpening our skills and connecting with each other continuously virtually. At CBU, your students will be inspired, encouraged, and supported, allowing them to excel in both academic and personal journeys, alongside our community of nearly 5,500 hardworking students. This session will be taken by none other than our Senior International Recruiter, Enrollment Services, Mr. Brett MacLean. Before we start, I would like to take you through the basic features of Zoom webinar. There are multiple options in the control panel. Please note that this is a webinar and your videos and mics will be inactive during the session. Participate in the webinar by raising your hands from the raise hand option present in your control panel. Any questions related to CBU, please put up in the Q&A section that appears in your control panel. For any technical questions, you can put those in the chat box. If your questions are not answered during the webinar, don't worry, we will be sending an email with all the details. Now handing over to Brett for his quick intro, followed by the presentation for UNBC. CBU.
Yeah, good afternoon, good morning to everyone, depending on where you're at. Thank you very much for taking some time to listen to me speak for hopefully the next half an hour of this presentation, and then another half an hour or so for some questions. As Dakshita said, obviously this is a very bizarre time, to say the least, and hopefully we can get through all of your questions that you have and talk about Cape Breton University. As Dakshita said, the presentation does have the option for asking questions. So please, any questions you do have at the end, more than happy to take those from you. So without further ado, let's get started. I know some of you here obviously are currently working with us and very familiar with both Canada and Cape Breton University. And there's some others that are new here and others that, of course, everyone needs a refresher. I know you work with lots of institutions, so it never hurts to have a quick little update. So, Cape Breton University. CBU is obviously, of course, located in Canada. And for those of you who might not be working with Canada yet or new to the Canadian market, why should you look at Canada? Students at this point have a lot of options, of course. They have Canada, the US, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. But why should they look at choosing Canada? Well, the first major reason is the quality of education. Certainly within Canada, we have some of the best universities in the world, and we're all public institutions for the most part. There's a couple of small private ones, but for the most part, every university in Canada is a publicly funded government institution. And the reason why this should be important to both you and your students is because when you graduate, or when your student graduates, they want to know that, of course, their degree is going to be recognized. And when students do graduate from Cape Breton University, their degree will be recognized across Canada, the US, and the world. Another reason to study in Canada is the number of international students that have been coming to Canada in the last 5 years. The international education sector in Canada has more than doubled now in the last 5 years. And this is certainly important for us as a country because we want your students not only to study with us, but also to stay. As many of you probably know, the immigration options in Canada are very good. It does depend on the province, of course, in which they study in. And we'll talk about that a bit more when it comes to Nova Scotia. And last but not least, of course, is money. Everyone is looking for good value. And Canada, compared to the UK, Australia, and the United States, offers the most competitive tuition fees available. We do pay a lot of taxes in Canada, but as a result, the education here is subsidized not just for international students, not just domestic students, but also international students. And again, we'll of course talk about that momentarily. Now, in terms of the location, Canada, of course, is a very large country. Many of you are probably working with institutions in British Columbia, Ontario, Alberta, but we're actually located in the province of Nova Scotia. We're a smaller province on the far east coast of Canada, and specifically, we're on Cape Breton Island. Cape Breton Island is an island of about 100,000 people that is attached to the mainland by a causeway or a bridge. One of the things that highlights Cape Breton, I think, is certainly the environment that your students are going to study in. I often tell parents and students, if you're looking to study in a city like Toronto, Vancouver with 4-5 million people, this is not us, for sure. We are a smaller place, like I said, of only about 100,000 people. However, we do have a huge tourist industry. A lot of people choose to come here for their holiday because of our beaches, golf resorts, ski resorts, and we're actually ranked the #1 island in North America for tourism by Travel and Leisure magazine and #3 in the world. So considering that, people come here to relax for a safe, clean environment, very much less traffic. So when you're speaking with students and parents, please let them know that, this is the environment, because some people do want a busier place. Other students want somewhere that's a little bit easier to get around, safer, more relaxed. In terms of the weather and climate, this is a big question. Obviously, India is also a very large country that has very different environments. For Canada, we're actually considered the warmest province in Canada. Because we are surrounded by water on 3 sides, we do have relatively warm winters and relatively cool summers. Compared to Ontario, Alberta, which goes down to about -30 in the winter, we only get down to about -2 to -5. If you're coming from Kerala, or if you're coming from other warmer parts of India, obviously this is still very cold, but relative to other parts of Canada, this is a fairly warmer place to live. We do have 4 seasons in Canada. Each lasts about 3 months. So if you don't like the winter, don't worry too much. It's usually gone within 3 or 4 months. Now, what we offer is certainly a smaller place to study. At the moment, Cape Breton University has approximately 6,000 students in total, of which we're over about 2,500 international students from 56 different countries. Again, some of your students are maybe looking for a larger university experience. I know some of the universities in Ontario and Alberta have upwards of 50,000 students. And of course, what that brings are much larger classrooms. I think you'll often see in some films, 500-600 students to 1 professor. This is not us. What we offer is a very multicultural experience, but also within a smaller classroom setting where you will get to know your professors and the other students around you. So we do think of that kind of as a best of both worlds, but this, I think, is something that you need to have a discussion with your students about what kind of experience they're looking to have. Now, in terms of the study options, this is where we are quite strong. We do offer a wide range of study options at both the undergraduate and graduate level. So if you have students that are interested in an undergraduate program, maybe they're coming directly from their 10+2, we do have many options for them. Or if you have students that are also graduates from university looking for a postgraduate program or a master's program, we do have those options available for them. And considering the recent pandemic, I think some of our options are very unique, and I think they're going to be very, very interesting for a lot of your students, which I'll talk about momentarily. But certainly when we come to the question and answer period, I'm more than happy to talk about any questions you have about the programs. It's very early here in the morning, so I also need to get on this coffee a little bit. Okay, Study permits and work. Before we get into the program questions, I know that this is a very, very important question for India and the subcontinent region. So I just want to be very clear before we even get into the programs. International students are allowed to work when they come to Canada, whether they study in Nova Scotia, whether they study in Alberta, Ontario, or elsewhere. While in class from September until April, students are permitted to work 20 hours per week. They have to be registered in a minimum of 3 subjects at CBU, and they have to be an active student. So in the past, we've had students and agents ask us, can I start one semester and then take a break and work full-time? And the answer is no. Between September and April, in order to qualify to work, you have to also be registered for a minimum of 3 subjects. For May, June, July, and August, when this is considered a scheduled break, students are allowed to work full-time, which is 40 plus hours a week. Certainly when it comes to work, a lot of our international students do work. This is a great way to make some extra money. Minimum wage in Nova Scotia is $12 an hour, which is approximately about 1,000 rupees per hour. Sorry, about 600 or 700 rupees per hour. But again, we do have to manage our students' expectations. They are coming to Canada on a study permit. Their prime motivation is to study, but of course they are eligible to work. One of the things we're going to be talking more about in the pre-departure sessions is managing students' expectations about work, though. We can't have it all, I guess would be the best way to put it. If you want to come to a place that has affordable education, that has the best work permit opportunities, that has unique programs, this is what we offer. There are more jobs in Ontario, in Alberta, and British Columbia, 100%. But of course, there is more competition, and there are less work permit opportunities. There's also a higher cost of living. So when your students do ask you about work, they do have to choose what is most important to them. If lower cost of living, if an affordable tuition fee and immigration is what they're looking for, this is what we offer. If they're looking for a guaranteed job within the first week, this is not something we offer. Because we are a smaller place, there's less competition for jobs, but there are less jobs. So this is a conversation I think that needs to be clearly had with the students. They are eligible to work. There are jobs here for them. But if their number one priority is working part-time as soon as they get here, then that's a bigger conversation that I think needs to be had, because the primary motivation is the study permit. But again, we could talk about that in more depth. But let's have a look at the cost at first. So I know different institutions in Canada have different ways of calculating tuition, and they also have different ways of measuring the courses. So at Cape Breton University, our semester runs from September until December for semester 1, and then semester 2 is January until April. Any subject or any course or any module that runs from September until December is considered 3 credits, okay? Most students for a full workload will take 5 subjects in semester 1 and 5 subjects in semester 2. As a result, they'll take 15 credits in semester 1 and 15 credits in semester 2 for a total of 1 academic year being 30 credits. Now, the reason why this is important is because the way that we calculate tuition is based on how many subjects or how many credits students take per year, okay? So at the moment, 1 3-credit subject is approximately 3,300 Canadian dollars for an international student. That includes all of their fees and includes the international tuition differential, but it's about $3,300 per 3-credit subject, okay? Now, if that student takes a full year of 10 subjects or 30 credits, their tuition should work out to be about $17,500 500 Canadian dollars. Now, students do not have to take 5 subjects a semester. The minimum they have to take is at least 3, and the maximum they can take is 6. And the reason why I stress this is because some students will talk to their friends and say, why are you paying this semester $8,000 and I'm only paying $6,000? The reason is if these students are in the same program, one student that semester might be taking more subjects than their other student. If this is the case, the student that's taking less subjects is going to take longer to complete the program, but everyone ends up paying the same amount of tuition, okay? So in the end, everyone pays the same. It's just the distribution of how that tuition fee is paid. So if students do ask you about the tuition calculation, that is how it's broken down. And if a student is not successful in a program, we do not have backlogs here. You're not able to retake an exam. If they fail the subject, not necessarily the exam, but if they fail the subject, they do have to take it again and they have to pay for it. Students don't like hearing that. And unfortunately, a lot of students will take extra hours at a part-time job and miss classes so they can work part-time, and they end up failing the class. What sucks about that, or what's unfortunate about that, is that to make a few extra dollars working at a cafe or a restaurant, they've sacrificed their course and they'll have to pay for that subject again, okay? My apologies, and I'm just thinking this now. It's 1 3-credit subject is actually 1,600 Canadian dollars, not 33. That's for a 6-credit subject. So please, when you're talking to your students, make sure they don't put the cart before the horse. Don't have your students failing their subjects so they can work a little bit of extra part-time. Because if they do, they fail their class, they have to pay for it again, okay? Now, in terms of the opportunities in programming, we have 4 main schools, and the first one is the Shannon School of Business. The Shannon School of Business covers a wide range of programs, from undergraduate and postgraduate programs. And if you have high school students coming from undergrad that are looking for a 4-year accountancy, finance, marketing, supply chain management, human resource management, we have all of these options available for them. And this is a program that's very, very popular for our undergraduate students. This is a program that does have what's called a co-op or a paid work term in year 3 and 4. So for example, if you're a student that's studying accounting, in year 3 and 4, we have an entire department who will help that student find a job to get a work placement for 4 months working with an accountancy firm. Another program that's in this is also the Hospitality and Tourism Management Program. Unlike the other business programs, which are 4 years, this Hospitality and Tourism Management Program is 3 years. And the reason it's 3 years instead of 4 is because students have the option, or actually have the requirement, to do 2 paid internships. This is absolutely required, and it's something where the students will make approximately 10,000 Canadian dollars over the 2 internships. What makes this program quite unique, I have to say, is because we have such a large tourism industry in Nova Scotia, there is a huge demand for students to work with hotel chains, to work with golf resorts, ski resorts, and we have tourism institutions like these actually calling us on a weekly basis, asking us to send them their students. So there's not enough people to fill all the jobs in this industry. So for students looking for permanent residence after graduation, this is a great opportunity. Within the Shannon School of Business, we also have some post-baccalaureate programs. These would be the equivalent of a postgraduate diploma. And these would be 2-year programs in supply chain management, in business management, or in business analytics. This has a wonderful tuition price For the entire 2-year program, which is done over 4 semesters, the total cost is 25 to 26,000 Canadian dollars a year. In year 1, students have to pay 16,000 Canadian dollars, and in year 2, it's a little bit less at 11,000 Canadian dollars. So if students are looking for an affordable postgraduate program that's going to give them good opportunities for the 3-year postgraduate work permit, this is a great program. And what is unique about this program is that the 4th semester is either a work term or a capstone research project. So for those students that you have already graduated from university, this is a great program for this. They don't have to be coming from a business background. We have a lot of students that are coming from engineering, coming from the arts and social sciences, business programs such as this, okay? So we would love to have them for this, but I would make one note. For students interested in business analytics, we do require them to have at least one subject in either maths and statistics, as well as an additional subject in either maths or statistics. So students that are coming from the arts and social sciences likely wouldn't qualify for the business analytics program, and we would need a minimum of a 2.65 or a B+ average in their university for all 3 of these programs, okay? So if you have any questions about that, please write them down and we could talk about them momentarily. The next school is the School of Science and Technology. This is our largest department, and this is one that actually has our engineering and science programs. Similar to the business school, we have programs that are both available in undergraduate and postgraduate programs, and particularly engineering is a big one for us. The most popular engineering program that we have is actually our engineering technology program, which is available as a 2-year, 3-year, or 4-year undergraduate program, as well as a 2-year post-degree, which is available for students that already have an engineering qualification or a science qualification. There are 3 main streams in the engineering technology program, which are electronics, controls, and instrumentation, chemical engineering technology, environmental studies, or petroleum engineering. Sorry, there's 4 streams, not 3. These are very, very popular programs with our undergraduate students, you know, that are written the CBSE or the State Board, as well as students that have done a post-degree or looking to do a post-degree. The way typically they line up is that students who have done an electrical engineering degree in India, typically they would do the post-degree in our electronics, controls, and instrumentation. Students that have usually done a chemical engineering degree or have done something with a more science-based, they would do the petroleum or the chemical engineering program. So again, there's a lot of options there for students that are looking for an undergraduate or postgraduate program. The next very popular program is only for undergraduate students. This is the Bachelor of Engineering program. This is a 4-year program that is available to our students, but this is not offered at the postgraduate level. This is only for 10+2 students. And this is a program that leads them to a professional engineering qualification. And this would be your traditional engineering programs like mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, computer engineering. And the structure of this program is called a transfer 2+2 because students must do the first 2 years with us at Cape Breton University and then transfer to the largest university in Eastern Canada called Dalhousie University for their year 3 and their year 4, okay? And the reason why they transfer to Dalhousie University in Halifax is because this is where the co-op or the paid work term is offered for year 3 and year 4. This transfer is automatic. There is no new application required. And the only necessity that students have to fulfill is that they're passing all of their classes. A lot of students and parents will ask, you know, why would I do 2 years at Cape Breton and then transfer to Dalhousie when I can just do all 4 years at Dalhousie? And the answer to that is twofold. Number one, the cost. We have a more competitive tuition fee than Dalhousie for the first 2 years. We're charging about $4,000 less than they are for year 1 and year 2. But also because we have we have smaller class sizes, we have a 90% pass rate for year 1 and 2, where Dalhousie, with larger classes, has only a 50% pass rate. No matter how good of a student you are in high school, university is quite competitive. This is a difficult program, and your grades will go down. So it is good to have significantly smaller class sizes where you know the professors and are going to help you with that. Okay? So from the engineering side of things, we have the engineering technology, which is your more applied engineering program, or we have the post-grad options for those of you that have an engineering qualification already. And for the high school students looking for your traditional engineering, we have the Bachelor of Engineering program that transfers to Dalhousie. So that covers the engineering side. And last but not least, we have your traditional Bachelor of Science program, 3- and 4-year degrees in biology, chemistry, maths, or psychology. This will be a program available for students that are looking to have a pure science. These programs are very lab-based, and a lot of the students that take these programs are planning to go into either graduate school to do a master's or PhD. A lot of our students that take, say, a chemistry or biology are planning to go into pharmacy, into dentistry. And as you probably know, in Canada and the United States, you cannot go directly into a pharmacy or dentistry program. You have to have a Bachelor of Science degree first. I know in the United States, they like to make it sound very good by calling it a pre-med program or a pre-dentistry. It's just a Bachelor of Science program, okay? And of course, the requirements for these programs in science and engineering all require students to have English, maths, and then 2 sciences in their 10+2. So if you're a student that, just did English and business studies, while you could get into a business program, you're not going to be eligible for a science or an engineering program, okay? And of course, the tuition for these programs is very good. You'll notice that the difference is about $500 a year between a business program and the engineering or science programs. The slight increase of about $500 a year is because of the labs. There are a lot of labs that cost a little bit more for the School of Science and Technology, okay? And I can see there's a lot of questions being asked for this in the participants section there, so we'll get to that shortly in the Q&A. The third program that we offer is my favorite program, our favorite school. It's the School of Arts and Social Sciences. This is a program that focuses on subjects like history, economics, philosophy, political science, international relations. And while I know that these are not the most popular programs in India, they do give students, I think, a very wide variety of skill sets that are available to them when they graduate. Most of these programs are 3- and 4-year degrees, although we do have a 2-year diploma in public administration and management that is available to both undergraduate and postgraduate students, as well as a Bachelor of Arts in Community Studies and a Bachelor of Arts and Science in the Environment. The Bachelor of Arts and Science in the Environment, or what's shorter known as our BASE program, does combine both the sciences and the arts. And this is a great program for students that are looking to get kind of the best of both worlds. That experience in the laboratory with labs, but also that communication and written skill set that they need when they graduate. This program does have slightly different requirements. Instead of an overall 65% Canadian average, it needs a 70%, as well as a written statement of purpose as to why they want to study, okay? So if you do have students that are looking to go into the arts and social science, or students that are not sure what they want to do they want to do sciences? Do they want to do arts? We also have the BASE program available for them, okay? And of course, the requirements for this program are going to be English plus 4 other subjects. School of Education and Health. So this was prior known as the School of Professional Studies. They've had a slight name increase or slight name change. And this is going to be programs that I think, given this pandemic, are going to be very popular in the coming years. At the moment, our education program is not available to international students. That is planning to be changed for 2021. Sorry, need a boost of coffee there. We're planning to offer this in 2021, our education program, but we're waiting to hear on the requirements. So for now, I'm just going to talk about the health sciences program. So as you've all heard for the last probably 6 or 7 weeks, unless you've been doing things otherwise, epidemiology and public health has been a huge program of interest, or a huge study of interest. Prior to this pandemic, a lot of people would ask me, what's the difference between a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Health Science? And I think the last 6 or 7 weeks has really shown us what the difference is. At Cape Breton University, we offer a 4-year degree in public health or a 2-year post degree for students that already have a science-related degree in chemistry, biology, nursing, things like this for 2 years. And what this health science program is focusing on is public health and epidemiology. We're looking at maintaining good air quality, food quality, water quality. The focus is going to be on keeping things clean. And as you've probably been told over the last 6 weeks, epidemiology, the spread of disease, the spread of infectious substances is becoming a huge thing. We're actually one of only 6 institutions in Canada that offer this program. And this is going to be a program that we expect a huge interest in. We've actually already had a huge interest in this program, and it had to cap our January and May intakes. But we do expect this to grow, and we are in the process of growing our lab capacity. If students are interested in this program from high school, we have this available. And if students are interested in this who already have a science degree, we also have the 2-year post degree. I know certainly from India, a lot of our students for the post degree are coming from the south, in Kerala, where I know that nursing is a very popular discipline. So if you do have students interested in doing something with public health or epidemiology, we have something for all types of students. Realistically, for September, we are closed. We have only 30 seats available. However, for January, we're going to be opening it up, I think in mid-May, and we're going to have 60 seats available. So if your students are interested, we do expect a huge demand in this, and I would strongly encourage you to make your application for those students, as soon as possible. Okay? Now, next, those are the programs. Cape Breton University offers over 100 different programs. Unfortunately, I can't talk to you about all of them, but those are the major ones. If you have students interested in engineering, business, science, public health, or the social sciences, we do have something for them. What we don't offer is computer science or software engineering, anything in IT, or anything in telecommunications. We're working on it, but unfortunately, as a public government university, there's only so many that we can offer. Now, moving on, let's have a quick look at campus facilities. We do have a lot of international students. We do understand that they have different needs than our domestic students. So let's talk a little bit about that. Before any international student or domestic student for that matter can register at Cape Breton University, every brand new student must get academically advised. They are not able to register until they get academically advised, and they will get an email on how to do this and how to register over the phone, email, Skype, WhatsApp to do this before their intake starts. If you, the agent, has listed your email as the student's email, you're going to get this correspondence, and it is imperative. It's extremely important that you pass this information on to the student on how to register, because students must register online before they come to Canada. And before they can register online, they must get academically advised. Okay? So if your student comes to you and says, I'm trying to register online, but I can't, simply ask them, have you been academically advised? If they say no, this is why. And again, it only takes about 5 minutes. It's very easy. And our academic advisors can walk you or the student through that process. Okay? Next is the International Student Advising Center. We have a registered international consultant at the university who can help students renew work permits, renew student visas, help them apply for immigration after they graduate, all of those things. We also have 3 orientation sessions a year. We don't have as many international students coming to these as we want. There's a lot of great information here. And we really, really ask you, please tell your students to come to these orientation sessions. Because oftentimes what happens is the students that don't come are the ones that come to the international office and say, well, I didn't know my rights as a tenant by renting an apartment. Or I didn't know that I should have housing insurance. Or I didn't know how to get my social insurance number so I can work part-time. Or I didn't know how to get my CV done up so I can apply for a job. These are all topics that are covered in the orientation session. And if students do not come, they're not going to know this and they're going to make a lot of mistakes. So we have an orientation session 3 times a year to get them a bank account, to get them a social insurance number, which they need to work, to get them a doctor, to get them a dentist, to get them a bank account. These are all very important things that they need to know. We're also going to help them get picked up at the airport. We do about 3 or 4 days of airport pickup, but they're going to have to register for this before they come. We're also going to get them a peer success coach who's going to help them throughout the year. And a lot of these peer success coaches now that we are hiring are Indian international students, which are paid. Okay? So the International Student Center is a great place for our students to get information, but we also encourage them to all attend the orientation session. A vibrant campus life. We have one of the largest Diwali celebrations now in Canada, but we also have a lot of things for our other international students. I know Ramadan started yesterday, so we have a large Iftar Ramadan celebrations for our Muslim students. We have a huge Afro-Caribbean week, Chinese New Year. Nova Scotia is very Christian, very Catholic, so we also have large Easter and Christmas celebrations. So it is a very vibrant campus, given the large number of our international students. Sports and athletics, we have a huge athletics department. We have basketball courts, football courts that are converted into cricket pitches. We have a lot of options for students in terms of athletics, which is of course all free of charge for them to use. And of course, the most important part, applying to Cape Breton University. We do have 3 intakes per year, September, January, and May. And we do encourage our students to apply at least 2 months before, because at the moment, we're taking about 2 to 3 weeks to process applications. Although, given the backlog and the working from home, we're actually taking about 6 weeks right now. Okay? I know some of you probably have outstanding applications with us that you're getting quite frustrated at waiting. I do apologize. We are going to have all September applications out by the end of April, but this transition to moving at home has been a little bit difficult, but they are coming. As well as, I want to let you know that we are launching a new ERP that all applications and all agents are going to have their own agent portal. We do expect this to drastically reduce the processing times, and this is being launched on May 10th. So you will have an update on that coming about your agent portal. And we do expect to have our application processing times down to about 2 weeks coming for the January term. But talking about the application to CBU, all applications for Cape Breton University, whether for India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or Nepal are submitted through our partners MSM in India. The reason we do this is because we do get a large number of applications from the region, India and the subcontinent, and they are going to screen your application first before it's submitted to make sure that your students are getting accepted. The other reason is they get priority processing. If you think the applications have been slow through MSM, some of the other markets, unfortunately, have taken even longer. So we strongly encourage that. The other reason is your commission. By submitting through MSM, we pay a higher commission, okay? So when you're submitting an application through MSM, your commission will be higher. We have been a little bit slow in the commission payments the last couple of terms, again, because of the volume, but we hope with the new ERP and the agent portal, this will be fixed. For students from India at the moment, to get accepted, we need a medium of instruction or English or an IELTS of 6.5, no band less than 6. Moving towards January 2021 students, not September, but 2021, we are going to require all students to have a minimum 6.5, no band less than 6 on the IELTS, and the medium of instruction will no longer count. So starting in January 2021, we'll need all students to have that, which we don't expect to be much of a problem because IELTS is required for the SDS visa. Students applying for the visa, we strongly recommend SDS. There's something like a 90% visa rejection rate now for general stream. So students that don't want to apply through SDS, you know, they're likely not going to get the visa. So my strong recommendation would be process the IELTS and get a 6.5 overall, okay? For students that really don't want to do the IELTS, we do accept the following. PTE is not listed there. Sorry, PTE should be listed there. We accept PTE of 59, IELTS 6.5, Duolingo for undergraduate 115, for postgrad 120. We do have an English language partner, which our Indian students unfortunately aren't able to get the visa for. So let me go through this. And accommodation. We do have on-campus and off-campus housing. Most of our Indian students do want to live off-campus because of the slight savings. I would strongly encourage them to stay on residence for at least the first semester, but it is up to them, okay? There is a lot of competition for off-campus housing. If students are looking to live off-campus, I strongly recommend that they go to our off-campus housing webpage for a link to how they can find off-campus housing. And for me, that is the presentation. In a nutshell, should I stop sharing that screen, Dakshita?
As you wish.
How about this? I'll leave it up for now.
Okay. Yeah, you were about to say something. Please go ahead.
No, that's it. Just wanted to let you know, thank you very much for your time. I know that's a lot of information to take at once, but I'm very keen to answer any questions and all questions that they might have.
Yes. So Brett, Rajshekhar, and our team has already answered most of the questions, but there are a few questions that we need to highlight so that everyone knows about those answers. So specifically, like the first question, which I can see a lot, you know, the frequency is so much about it, is about like, what are we doing in the case of COVID-19? Like any special things that we're going to take it, and like, what are the steps that we are taking during COVID-19?
Sure. So this has been a huge question, not just from the Indian students, agents, parents, but from everyone, domestically and internationally. And there's a few different kind of angles on this. When you're asking about this, do you mean in terms of the next intake for new students, or do you mean for students that are currently on the campus?
The students who are currently on the campus, and also for the next intake. All the information will be welcome when it comes to COVID-19.
Sure. So, I mean, currently for all students that are on campus, any student that could leave the on-campus accommodation was asked to do so. So that was mostly our Canadian students that might live in other parts of Canada or Cape Breton students. But any international student that was living on campus was allowed to stay on campus. We would never kick those students out. And we actually strongly encouraged our international students to stay on campus, and we moved them into their own private room at no extra charge so they could self-isolate. For the May intake, unfortunately, the May intake has been canceled because people can't travel here, and we're really trying to contain this. What we have done for our post-baccalaureate students is move the programming online. The reason why we've done this for the post-baccalaureate students in business, management, supply chain, and business analytics is because there's no laboratories. We're not able to offer engineering, public health, or the sciences online because they require labs. But for the business programs, the post-grad, we have offered those online. I think we have about 30 students that have taken that up. But for the other subjects, we're waiting until September. For those students who have been accepted for May, that obviously cannot come, we've automatically deferred them to September. You would have received an email asking those students if they wanted to be deferred to September, and any student that said yes, they were automatically given a new offer letter that is available for not just September, but also January, May of next year. So any students that you did have for the May intake are now automatically transferred to September with no extra charge, no new application, and their intake is valid for 3 full intakes, because we do know, of course, that some students financially might have to wait until January. Unfortunately, as you all probably know, similar to the Indian government, we're just waiting to see what the government's going to say. It is a little bit frustrating, but we are touch and go, waiting to see, is the border going to be open? As of now, any international student that had a visa that was stamped before March 18th is allowed to enter Canada. Whether they can fly here, that's another question. But at the moment, if you're an Indian student with a visa that was stamped before or on March 18th, you're eligible to come here. We want you to come. For the Indian students that are currently here, we are helping them find part-time jobs for the summer. They're now allowed to work 40 hours a week, even now. And I know that our president has made bursaries available for international students that are currently here.
Okay. The next question.
Does that answer everything? I know that that contains a lot of information.
Yes. I think that pretty much helps us in this scenario. Rest of the information, if at all there's anything, Brett, you can let us know. We'll make sure that we email each and every agent about all the updates that are coming from you.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I want to let you know.
Yes.
So we've given out $250,000 to our international students in $500 bursaries. To me, I would have, instead of giving out $250,000 as $500 bursaries, I would have rather seen our students get $5,000, but on a smaller number for those students. Our Indian students do very well. We are in the discussion of finding ways to give more money to less students, because $500 isn't very much, and we'd rather give a larger sum to less people. At the moment, the Canadian government has announced a multi-billion-dollar funding package for students in Canada. Unfortunately, this did not include international students, and the president of Cape Breton University was very disappointed in that. He is a former health minister here in Canada, and he's actually written to the ministers and the prime minister to show his disappointment. If you go to the Cape Breton University website, you'll actually see a press release that was made yesterday from him. We are fighting with the government at the moment as Cape Breton University to get more government funding for international students. It's not fair that domestic students are eligible for this financial package and not international students. International students in Canada are extremely valuable about diversifying the student experience, about giving other perspectives, to making the classroom just a better place. And honestly, international students should be entitled to that funding. So we hope to have an update on that soon of what we can do for that. As of now, September 2021 is open. We're expecting to have classes in person available. We're just waiting to see what the government and immigration says and what we can do. I was actually supposed to be in India next week. I'm very disappointed. I love coming to India to see you, Dakshita, to see Usma, to see Rajshekhar. What's up, buddy? But unfortunately, that can't happen. So I hope you're all doing well in lockdown there. It's becoming very old. And I know that Mr. Modi obviously extended this, I think, until May 3rd for India. And I just want to send my best regards. I hope to see you soon in India, and hopefully your students can all get here for September safely.
Thank you so much, Brett. The next question that is coming up is, are we accepting Duolingo English test, or are there any updates on Duolingo?
Sure, that's a great question. So this question has two parts to it, I would say. So yeah, in short, the answer is yes. We are accepting Duolingo. This is a new test that we are accepting because, obviously with recent changes to working from home, the IELTS test centers being closed, we are accepting Duolingo for our undergraduate students. Excuse me, sorry. We're accepting Duolingo at 115 for undergrad, 120 for the post-bac programs or the masters. Now, this is just my personal opinion. Take it as you please. If students write the Duolingo exam, they are not able to apply for the SDS visa stream. They have to apply for the general stream. Now, for me, the problem is this. If students write Duolingo, they have to apply for general stream, which has a massive visa rejection rate. And while they may be accepted to Cape Breton University, what is the point if they can't get the visa? Okay. The other thing is, most of our Indian students, if not all of them, are eligible to be accepted to Cape Breton University through medium of instruction. Oftentimes, we don't require a letter, even from their high school or institution, to say they've studied in English, because we know the CBSE students study in English. We know that Punjab, Gujarat, Kerala, Maharashtra, UP, all of these state boards are in English. So getting accepted to Cape Breton University with the language shouldn't really be much of an issue because of the medium of English, which is changing for January 2021. My big question to you as an agent would be, what way do you want to apply for the visa? Because if they do the Duolingo, they have to apply for general stream. And if they apply for general stream, the visa rejection is a much, much greater. My advice would be, wait and see what's going to be announced for the IELTS online, because I think the Canadian government and SDS are going to announce, I don't know this, I think they're going to announce that for SDS, they will accept online IELTS. But just consider those factors. But in short, yes, we do accept Duolingo.
Okay. So there is an interesting question, Brett, over here. So it says that even if the student has got the visa, however, as we have not initiated our May intake, except for the post-baccalaureate programs, the visa is about to extend in August. Actually, the passport is about to extend in next month, August 2020. So what shall we do about it? Because I know for a fact that we are sending the revised offer letters to them with the new intake available. So I don't think so that this will create any problem in their visas or passports or something like that.
Sorry, just so I can, just to clarify. So the student has the visa. It was
Yes.
before March 18th.
Yes.
What's going to expire? The passport?
Visa is up to August 2020, and we have cancelled the May intake. So visa is up to
Sure.
2020. Yeah,
Sure.
August
Yeah,
2020.
yeah.
And
No. So this is more of an immigration question.
Yes.
Those visas will be valid for September. The Canadian government absolutely recognizes that this is unprecedented. When that visa was stamped, valid up until August 2020, no one ever anticipated this to happen. And the government absolutely knows that students accepted for May are now coming to September. I'm a part of a working group, an immigration working group with the Canadian Bureau of Education, which works with Immigration Canada. Any student that has a visa for May will be able to take that visa to September. That should not be a problem.
Okay. Yeah. So that was one of the questions that has come up for many of our students, as we're not able to start all the classes online.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, I mean, if I was a student and a parent and I put down my deposit and I got this money and I got this visa, I mean, this is very, very nerve-wracking with all the questions of immigration, with all the questions of, will I be able to start? The good thing is we're in this together. I know that sounds super corny and everyone's saying we're in this together, but really we are. And it's not just India that's affected by this, it's the world. And you know, this is going to be hard to hear, but just be patient. No one is ever going to get turned down when they get here to the border that says, actually, your visa expired. Well, I couldn't travel there. So trust me, they will have no problem coming with a visa for May in September. It will not be an issue.
Okay, yeah.
And I say this on a recorded seminar.
Yes, okay. I hope that this clears a lot many answers. And the questions that I see over here, like we have covered the COVID-19 part, we have covered Duolingo part, we have also covered majorly the visa part. And now the questions that I see mostly over here is all about admission requirements and all of that. So Brett, do you feel that any of the questions from here can be answered? Any question that you feel important? Because all the questions are important, but anything in next couple of minutes.
Yeah, no, just about the requirements. So, I mean, certainly for high school students, converting the CBSE exam or the ICB-CSE, I mean, those are pretty easy. Different state boards do differ in their weight. Like the Punjab State Board is different than the Kerala State Board. So, I mean, we're constantly always trying to evaluate that. One of the issues that we do have is for the post-baccalaureate programs, we need the equivalent of a B+ Canadian, or about a 2.65 as an overall average. And for the case of business analytics, we need maths and statistics, 2 maths, 2 statistics, at a B+ average. There is a little bit of issue sometimes converting what that is. My big thing I would say to the agents, if you're applying for these post-baccalaureate business programs, please, please, please also send over the rubric that shows the grade conversion. It's usually on the back of the transcript. Send this over as well, because we really need this to evaluate. But for the most part, if they meet the 65% Canadian equivalent, you know, we're lucky to accept them.
Okay. So the next question, are we accepting applications with predicted scores, like grade 12 predicted scores for bachelors?
Yes. So I know I was talking to Meghavi there earlier. I sent an email yesterday. So yeah, so we do know that a lot of students, unfortunately, whether it's their 10+2 grades, their university, we're still waiting. They're still waiting on their final grades. So we are giving conditional letters of acceptance for students that can show their predicted grades or that are waiting on their final grades. To get that letter, we do need to see that they're all in the right subjects. So for example, if a student's applied for an engineering program, we need to see that they're already registered in their high school for, English, maths, and two science subjects. So if you have predicted grades or you're waiting on your final grades, yes, we can give a conditional letter of acceptance. And then when we get the final grades, we can issue that final acceptance. That is something we can do.
Okay. So, Brett, there is a special request because as we have been focusing majorly on the visa request from India and also we also have our African agents present over here. So one of the agents have written that we have applications we submit, but the visa is not encouraging. So what is the institution doing about this? Anything related to Nigeria? Also, does Nigeria students require English language test?
Okay, so there's two questions there. So the first one is, sorry, can you just read the first question? What are we doing about the visas?
Yes, about the visas. Like there's a delay in visas from Africa, especially from Nigeria. So anything
Sure.
that we are doing about it?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, the visa rejection rates for West Africa, particularly Nigeria, have been about 90%. I've met with the visa officer last September in Lagos. And one of the problems with Nigeria, he said, is the volume of fake documents and fake financial documents. And he even admitted, because of the huge volume of fake documents, that spills over into the legitimate students. So the students that are providing legitimate documents sometimes are getting second guessed because of the volume of fake documents. My recommendation would be this. And because the universities are completely separate from immigration, there's not much that we really can do is other than just encourage students to provide as much documentation as possible. We do not require an IELTS score from Nigerian students, and they do not require an IELTS score for their visa. However, to get a good chance of getting the visa, I strongly recommend submitting it. So there's three things I'd recommend to all Nigerian agents. Number one, when you submit the West African Exam Council, also submit the PIN so they can verify that. I know in the north of Nigeria, I think particularly in Kaduna State, there's been problems even with some teachers writing the exam for students. So on top of the West African Exam Council results and the PIN code, we also recommend they submit an IELTS score. The higher IELTS score, the better. Not required, but definitely higher. And even though SAT is only for the United States, we've noticed that students submitting the SAT results are also getting a better visa acceptance. Submitting the visa well before the intake starts, I find is a good way to get it. So if you're starting in January, start the visa process in August or September. And of course, the other thing is the financial documents. They want to see that the student is able to financially support themselves. A lot of Nigerian agents are only paying $5,000 up front for the tuition. It's almost pointless. If you want to get the visa, you should be paying the full year tuition up front. If you're not paying the full year tuition up front, unfortunately, the visa rejection is much higher. That would be my advice. If students aren't getting the visa, we're refunding it within 4 to 6 weeks through the CIBC portal after we received the visa rejection copy. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's but as much as I can tell you, pay the full year up front, submit an IELTS score, submit the WAEC and the PIN code, and if the student has an SAT score, even better. But the visa rejection from Nigeria has been extremely high for everywhere in Canada. And it's very unfortunate because our Nigerian students are fantastic. They do extremely well in all of the programs they're in.
Thank you so much, Brett. I think that we have answered almost all the questions, and I'm really sorry that we cannot cater to, like, let's say some 150, 200 questions at this point of time, because we do have another session coming up in next 1 hour. So if you have missed anything, then please stay tuned for our next session. We'll make sure that we cover more Like we will cover most of the other questions which we have left here in our other session, which is starting in just 1 hour.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So we hope that this session was informative and you took some learning out of this session. Thank you all our education agents for participating with us in this exclusive MSM Live e-summit of CBU. In case you've missed anything, don't forget to tune in our next session. We'll be available.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.